Good morning. Welcome to this week's edition of Monday Messages. How was your week? I hope you had a good one. I had an awesome week. I got to talk to this amazing man. He's a judge of all things. Judge Kearns is his name, and he operates something called Yo Court. And my friend Katie, who had been through the process, she introduced me to him as part of my podcast. And as I'm doing the podcast, I'm like, holy crap, this is the real deal. This guy is changing and saving lives. You're talking to a hero here. Don't screw it up. He through the court systems and his position as a judge is using everything in his power, and he understands the addict like perfectly. The addict and alcoholic perfectly, doesn't put up with their BS. And if they try to BS them, they go back to jail. It's amazing. So that's my podcast. If you get a chance, check it out. It's Judge Kern's Yo Court, and it's definitely worth the listen to because his insight into addiction is amazing. I myself, as a recovering alcoholic, when I was in my active alcoholism, I actually had a few run-ins with the law. I got two DUIs. And oh yeah, I think I had something also with fake ID at one point. Yeah, with the fake ID, like literally, we had like the worst fake IDs you could ever have in college. Our fake IDs, literally, I had one where I was like this. It was an old woman with a cataract, and I brought it to George's, where we always went to, get our cheap beer, and the guy looked at my ID. He sees this old lady with cataracts. He's like, get in there, Kelly. And then we even had like an art student like put this whole elaborate setup of like a fake ID, and like she literally like forged this fake ID for us. And we were so freaking stupid and cocky. We thought we could pass it off on an actual police officer carding at the door of one of the clubs, and two of them got by. But finally, when the third one got by, it was like, no, come here, girls. And then we ended up having to go to court, and we found a lawyer, thank God, who was good enough to take care of us. And ironically, all we had to do was pay him with a bottle of booze, which we bought with our new fake IDs. But the one that was really, it was after a night of partying, and we went to, I was coming back. And of course I was drinking and driving, which, I don't say anybody should do, but back then I believed I actually was a better driver when I was intoxicated. That's the alcoholic insanity of it. And so I pulled into a 7-Eleven, opened the door, and I had a little red truck, pushed out like all these beer cans on the ground, and I'm screaming, "You can eat cake! You can eat cake!" For some reason. I think there was somebody said something funny that I ran with. But the punchline was, "You can eat cake." So I just kept screaming, "You can eat cake," and I went in and bought whatever I was going to get at the convenience store, probably trying to get another 6-pack of beer or something like that, knowing me. And I walk out to be greeted by the St. Augustine Police Department. So that was a nice thing to see. And they promptly arrested me, put me in the back of the car, and drove me off to jail. I got to spend the night in jail, which was definitely an experience I never want to do again. But I ended up doing again because I got a second one later in Orlando. But I remember waking up, and I had a cellmate, and I was just kind of like hungover and really like, oh God, what did I do now? Look at this mess I got myself into. And my cellmate, it's like, she's like, "What are you in here for?" I said, "Oh, drinking and driving. I shouldn't have done it." And then I go, "Well, how about you? What are you in here for?" And we were eating breakfast at the time while we're talking. I don't think I was even eating much because I was just like, ugh, not feeling good. But I like, what are you in here for?" And she goes, "Oh, Yeah, I hit my husband over the head with a ceramic statue. Felt really bad after I did it. You can eat those Cocoa Puffs? I'm like, no, here, take them. Take them. Just get me out of here. And there's nothing so eye-opening and degrading as having to, walk out in handcuffs in the jumpsuit. My God, thinking back, it was an experience, and it should have been my wake-up call. And I remember thinking at the time, yeah, this is a problem. This is a real problem here. We are going to have to make some big changes. I'm going to have to quit driving. I'll take a taxi. I'll have somebody else be the designated driver, but I can't afford to have this happen again. That's the thinking. That's the insanity, the insane thinking of an alcoholic right there. No matter what, whatever the consequences, the thought, knowing that the real cause is the booze, I wasn't willing to give up the booze. I just had to figure out a better way to control my actions while I was drinking. And it was always my fear that I would really screw up really bad. And thank God I'd never suffered, never hurt or killed anybody while I was engaged in my active alcoholism. It was a fear of mine because I knew I had no control, and I knew I made really bad decisions when I was under the influence. And I look at these women or men who actually did have that happen. Actually, I had an ex-boyfriend at the time who he was well off, and he ended up drinking and driving, and he killed like an old couple. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh my God. And his life was ruined, as were the families, and looking back at it, it's like, oh, thank God I didn't do that. I didn't cause that, but it very well easily could have happened because of my actions. And it's easy to look back and say, I wish I would have done things differently, and have that shame and guilt associated with my actions. But today I have to look at it as, no, it's everything that I did in the past, it's not who I am today. I can help I can help somebody who is struggling with those feelings that they did, how badly you screw up when you're out there and you do things you would have never done in a normal circumstance. But because of the drugs or drinking, you make super bad decisions that land you in a place where you don't want to be. And bringing it full circle back to Judge Kearns, he deals with that. And the beautiful thing is, he doesn't just treat the addict or the alcoholic, he treats the family, because it's a family disease. And the success rate for his program is awesome because he includes the family. The family has to be a part of it. He won't just admit the convict. He has to admit the whole family. The whole family has to go through the program because the family needs the healing. And it's amazing the things that have happened. And the girl that I who introduced me to this whole system, she's a graduate of it, and she's like 4 years clean now, helping other women, and has this amazing story to share herself of her time in jail. And her time was much more extensive than my time than I had, because she served months in jail, in and out, until she finally got it, and finally took the gift of recovery that was freely handed to her by this very understanding, caring judge. And this judge really does care. And what caught me was when I talked to Katie, I said, well, not everybody makes it, do they? And she goes, no. And she goes, in fact, because he mentioned in the interview that he follows the failures as well as the successes. And I thought that was really interesting. And I couldn't get a chance to ask them about this, but Katie said that he would attend the funerals of the ones that didn't make it. And that got me right here. It's like, oh, but by the grace of God, but by the grace of God, and the fact that this judge really cared enough, he really does care. These are like kids to him. He cares that these kids make it, and for him to sit and have to sit at the funeral of the ones that didn't make it. No wonder he tries so hard and he doesn't put up with the BS, because he knows by not putting up with the BS and giving them parameters and putting him in jail if he has to, he might just be saving their life, and that'll be one less funeral he has to attend. So it's an amazing thing that he's got going there, and I think it's going to save a lot of lives. And I hope that more people adopt it and understand that we all make mistakes. We all can beat ourselves up for those mistakes, but turn those mistakes around and make them useful tools to help the person out there who you see starting to make the same mistakes, saying, hey, been down this road, doesn't end well, but you can do what you want to do. I can tell you right now, it's not going to work. And when you're ready, I'm here to tell you, I'm here to help you pick up the pieces, because I know how to pick up the pieces. But I've been there, I know how it feels. And I'm uniquely qualified now to talk to anybody who has, suffered through a DUI and feels like crap about their previous behavior now that they're, in recovery. So that's my message today is, use your mistakes as assets for your future. Everything's an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity in God's world. And God wants us to truly, I believe that, my higher power, who I choose to call God, wants me to use all the lessons and mistakes I learned in the past to help those out there struggling. Can you do the same thing too? Don't beat yourself up. Learn from it, grow from it, and give it away. And that's my message for today. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week for another Monday message. Bye.